New York City, Madrid, Paris, Boston. These world-class cities are all host to cultural institutions that possess some of the greatest, most famous and influential works of art ever. Claude Monet's Water Lily Pond, Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, Picasso's Guernica, and the list goes on. But when you break it down, viewing these works may not always be the easiest thing. Take a family of 4. After standing in line, getting to the front of said line, they may have to pay upwards of $100 for admission. And that's before factoring in a day's worth of transportation, food, potty breaks, kids go to the bathroom a lot. In general, a day at the museum could be a little arduous and a bit taxing, right? Easy for those that have, and a scarce possibility for the have-nots. But take New York, Boston, Madrid, and Paris from another angle. They're also host to a different type of art exhibition, right? One that has no fee to patrons, one that is accessible to those from the princely to the penurious, one that has no hours of operation. I'm obviously talking about the plein-air art galleries of urban areas, the murals that adorn different buildings. This public art, street art, graffiti, quite often is large, vibrant, and representative of the community that it's in. It trades in the works of Rodin, Bacon, and Picasso for the works of Revok, Brantley, and Pisciavo. It trades in the work of Klimt and Pollock for Kem and Pose. In general, it finds a way to influence those around it and potentially change a community. And I would know, as that's what's happened in my own. My name is Che Anderson. I work in the city of Worcester, Massachusetts, where I helped to organize a project called Powwow Worcester. Powwow is a global network of artists from around the world doing things like art installations, gallery shows, schools of art and music, and lectures. And it can be found in places such as Worcester, Japan, Hawaii, Washington, D.C., Texas, California. But it's only one umbrella that this mural art, public art can take place under. There's Beyond Walls in Lynn, New Art in Stavanger, Obra in Sao Paulo, Brazil. There's Mural Arts in Philadelphia, Mural Festival in Montreal, Wellington in Queens, and literally hundreds of other community-based projects, all looking to provide publicly accessible artwork to their community. But what does that mean? In a day where colloquial buzzwords have taken over, what is accessibility? Right? Physical access is important, but what happens when the barriers that inhibit somebody aren't visible? How do you enjoy art in a place where you feel unwelcome? Right? How do you enjoy art in a place where a proverbial glass ceiling or wall inhibit your interaction with said art? How do you enjoy the art when the people that are subjects don't look like you, speak the same language, or come from similar areas? This public art provides an opportunity to engage those that aren't always engaged, to get the excited people who are underserved in the same room with the affluent art aficionado. What most people understand now is that public art is important, right? You take someone like the Americans for the Arts, who state that people want to work and live and visit cities that are interesting, livable, and vibrant. Totally fine. They want to interact with new activations around their community, touch something, take a picture with something, feel something. For example, in your own personal lives, how many of you, your friends, your coworkers, your classmates, your families, that annoying person on Facebook you won't unfriend, but they keep posting really ridiculous things, how many of them have a photo with the Chicago Bean, with the mural on the Rose Kennedy Greenway, with the Bowery mural in New York City, with the Burnside Fountain in Worcester? If you have never seen the Burnside Fountain in Worcester, Google the Burnside Fountain in Worcester. Don't do it on a work computer. It's an actual thing, and it's amazing. Or with the pink Paul Smith wall in Los Angeles, right? People want to capture those moments. They want engaging activities. And public art can give them that and so much more. Instead of turning your attention to a place like Wynwood, Miami, or like Bushwick, Brooklyn, which quite often gets talked about when it comes to public art, I'm going to draw your attention to Worcester, because obviously, why wouldn't I? Now see, Worcester, from the 1800s to the 1960s, was an industrial power. And like most industrial mid-sized cities, it needed to pivot. It needed to find what its next big thing was. So inventors came, and inventors went. And business came, and business went. And eventually, Worcester started getting the hang of something, but it didn't quite have that thing it could hang its hat on. Then a graffiti scene started, and then a skate scene started. And the music scene was booming. Worcester's underground music scene was unparalleled. People were flocking to Central Mass to find new bands and to see established ones like the Rolling Stones just tear up really small venues. The restaurant scene became fledgling, but still there was something missing. Downtown wasn't vibrant. Some people said it was dreary, and it needed an extra push. So the city saw an opportunity. They formed the Public Art Working Group in 2013, and they said, if we can place 3 large-scale installations in downtown Worcester, people will flock to downtown. That was a theory, at least. And so in 2014 and 2015, 2 large-scale installations were placed in downtown Worcester. And while it was interesting, and while it provided some great community engagement, it wasn't as impactful as they had hoped. And so a small team of us that were part of that initiative realized instead of doing 1 project a year, we needed to do 10 at once. Find a footprint, do 10 public art installations, get people walking, and instead of focusing on the things they didn't like about a piece of art, they focused on the 3 or 4 pieces they loved. It had been done in other places, it could be done in Worcester. So we found a footprint, and within a few months, 16 murals and 10 installations were placed throughout downtown, anchoring nonprofit organizations, theaters, arenas, music venues, city-owned property. In short, the team found a way to get people moving, walking, and talking about the vibrancy of Worcester. And the folks came from Brazil, Spain, Nepal, New Zealand, California, Texas, Boston, Fitchburg, literally all over the world, and converged on the city of Worcester to work with the community. And their followers came in droves, and the community raved about it. They saw an opportunity to tell people all about the great things happening in the city of Worcester, about the history in this city that most people hadn't heard of before getting invited to come paint in this town. All right? It was more than just an art project. It was community engagement. It was a cultural exchange. And for those that are keeping record at home, Worcester is the birthplace of modern rocketry. First liquid rocket fuel comes from there, Robert Goddard. The first perfect game in baseball, also thrown in Worcester. And also, the smiley face, invented in Worcester in 1963 by Harvey Ball. So whenever you're dotting your I's with those, remember that. And yet, after this beautiful cultural exchange, our team realized we weren't doing enough. This was great. 16 murals and 10 installations was something we could have hung our hat on, but we wanted to dive deeper into the community. Downtown was fine, but there were people that weren't getting the access to the arts that needed it. In 2017, the country was in a very interesting place, and there needed to be more of a focus on the youth of our community. Our city leadership likes to say that children are 100% of our future. And as obvious as that is, it's a beautiful thing to think about. And so the team decided we were going to venture deeper into the community with a focus on the youth. We wanted to impact the new creatives, the future of our city and of our country. And so the team decided to work with the public schools and figure out a way to get kids thinking about art in a different way, how they can do it, how they could see it, how they could touch it, they could smell it, they could feel it. They could be all that there was to be when it came to the arts. And over the course of 10 days, 32 murals were placed in, on, or around 4 public schools. The artists came from 17 different countries around the world. The children who saw them were able to see people who looked like them and spoke some of their native languages create during the course of a day. And to say it was impactful would be an understatement. In one case, a young girl had just been displaced by Hurricane Maria from the Dominican Republic. She was 8 years old, brand new to this country, and still learning English. She walks out one day and sees giant platano leaves being planted on her school. And she goes to the artist and starts speaking to him in Spanish. They were from the same town in the Dominican Republic. Huge coincidence. And so every day during recess, this young girl, instead of going outside and playing hopscotch or sports or running in circles or whatever 8-year-olds do now during recess, she would sit and watch him paint and ask him questions about home and how it was and what was going on. She would jump between English and Spanish in excitement, and every day she made sure to say bye to him specifically before going back inside. And when this piece was done, he signed the work of art, grabbed his sketch, signed that sketch, and gave it to that little girl. so that she had a piece of home there with her. In another situation, this artist, Apex, who's from California, got to his wall, and he was the only artist that had 2 walls this year, so he had a lot of work to do. And he knew he needed to finish, but every day after school, this group of kids would go up to him and start chanting, "Can I paint? Can I paint?" And he would just say, "Come back tomorrow," because he really had to get this done. And about the second or third day, he looked over at them playing basketball, and he couldn't see where the hoop is they were shooting into, because there wasn't one. No hoop, no milk crate. They were shooting at a spot on a balcony that they had all decided was the hoop. And so seeing that, he knew he needed to do more. This wasn't just an art project to him anymore. So he goes to the kids and says, "Okay, if you can find an adult, we can do a small demonstration." I'm sure what he imagined was he'd show them a little paint, one kid would get to paint. That'd be a great day. Instead, about 20 to 25 students showed up with a parent, and she apparently was a retired graffiti writer, and they were ready to go. And what should have been a really short demo became a full-on art class. And when he was done with his project, he signed his name, he wrote a thank you to that neighborhood, and I kid you not, people applauded, some people cried. Because it wasn't just an art project for them anymore. He wasn't just a visiting artist. He was a part of their community. And they were losing him. On the very other side of this wall, an artist from Hong Kong had come into the city with no sketch. But she's an amazing artist, so we said, we'll figure it out. And as all the other artists were starting to paint, these kids noticed she had no paint on her wall. So they kept pressuring her, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" To which I'm sure she was saying the same thing in her head. "What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" And eventually she had it. These 4 girls became her muses. So she drew their faces and then decided to take a piece of each of them. One's eyes, one's nose, one's mouth, one's long braid. And she did her piece. And now those 4 girls come home every day and no longer have a giant blank wall. They have a piece of them. They are part of the community, and they see that 40 feet tall now. Again, it was more than an art project. It was bridge building. It was community development. But that word development could be a really interesting thing. You see, in some situations, artists believe in a cause enough to do their work in a community that they see as underrepresented for no stipend. And for some reason, that translates to people that all artists work for free. In other cases, artists are brought into an area that can use some sort of development. And once the artists are done making it look beautiful, they're priced out of that area. That's just not right. See, arts and culture, as per the Americans for the Arts, make up 4.2% of our nation's GDP, more than transportation, construction, or tourism. I just want to let that sink in for a second. More than transportation, construction, or tourism. It's not just about what the artist can do for a city. It's about how the city can implement new processes and policies that can help their artists. They can follow in the footsteps of such cities as Seattle, San Francisco, and Philadelphia, and have things embedded into their budget to ensure that artists receive a living wage and a place to stay. I'll leave you on this. The arts can be a beautiful and a powerful thing. Whether seen at the Uffizi Gallery, the ICA in Boston, or the corner of Main Street in Chatham, the arts can be impactful. Right. But that mural seen on the corner of Main and Chatham, it has no door. It has no hours of operation. It could be enjoyed for 5 minutes, 5 seconds, or for 5 days straight, by oneself or with your family. You can commemorate it with a picture with a bunch of friends or with a selfie. Snapchat, Instagram Live, whatever you do nowadays. But that piece is there. It's vibrant, it's waiting, and it's more than an art project. Thank you.